Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you and welcome. For today's spring demo series, we'll be talking about getting your data-driven decisions with project team, collaboration, and reporting. I know that's quite a mouthful. What we're going to do today is go through kind of a 10,000-foot view so that you can get a sense of all of the fantastic new Office 365 tools and how they integrate with the Project Online environment and how you can make the best use of them so that you can better collaborate with team members, report on the metrics that you want and need to gather, and all kinds of other good, exciting stuff. So let's get started. Our agenda for today will be an introduction first. We'll get to that next. Probably my least favorite slide of any webinar that I do, but you'll see why. Then we'll go into Microsoft PPM, aka Project Online, and other related tools, and Office 365 groups. We're going to talk about teams. In my organization, PPM Works, we are now fully immersed in the Teams environment. We have been for several months now. And I have to confess that although I was very resistant at first, switching from Skype for Business and SharePoint and kind of living in those environments all day, every day, and now immersing myself into Teams, I'm now fully hooked. I tend to be a bit resistant to those things, but I really like it now that I understand it and kind of get the way that it works. I think it's really great. We'll also go through Microsoft Planner, the kind of to-do list tool that Microsoft offers for more basic scheduling. We'll also talk about Microsoft Flow. If you have the need to automate tasks and jobs, that's a really fantastic mechanism by which you can do that, and it's really easy to set up. And then finally, we'll talk about our PPM Works dynamic tracker tool and how that can be a valuable add-on to your Project Online environment if there are things that you need to measure that aren't necessarily already available in the Project Online space. As I said, my name is Jenny Ward. This picture on my giant monitor is practically life-size, which is why this is my least favorite slide. I've been in IT, I'm horrified to say, for 20 years. My favorite thing of everything I do is solving puzzles, taking a client challenge and turning it into a solution. So I look forward to engaging with you folks and connecting with you via LinkedIn and hearing from you. Hopefully you'll find that this webinar is useful to you and kind of gives you some of the information that you're looking for when it comes to these new Office 365 tools. So let's get started. We're going to go through several slides, and then what will happen is I'll actually do a demo, particularly for Teams and Planner. We'll go through the project roadmap, which is one of the greatest new things that has been added to the Office 365 space and Project Online, which is a really great graphical tool that allows organizations to see their portfolio very quickly and visually, particularly good for executives who just want to see really high-level things and progress on projects. And it's super easy to use. Again, that's their new theme, I think, with the Office 365 set. If it's not easy, then no, it's not part of Office 365. So we'll go through that. So let's talk about the different ways in which we work. Okay, so that we have the me work. Every day I have a routine of what I do. I go into Planner. We use Planner a lot in our organization for keeping track of just the tasks that we need to ensure that we get done. You know, if I'm helping with sales tasks, I'll get assigned various work via Planner. If I need to do a webinar, I'll get assigned the webinar in Planner. It's great. I'm a list taker from way back, so I really love just the ability to mark something as complete, the ability to send comments to my colleagues or ask questions, all within the Planner tool, which is really great. Then there's the we work that kind of falls into Planner as well. As I mentioned, commenting and questioning my peers or other groups for kind of middle-sized or small-sized projects. And Then we go into the more structured resources for large groups of people that are focused on a common goal or area of the company. So that might be more where you're using an actual team in Microsoft Teams and in the background creating an Office 365 group, so all of those group members can collaborate on that team. And then finally, the company connection, where we're looking at the company overall, which would be where I look at all of the teams that are available to me, and we're sharing information with one another, new things that we learn, questions we have, updates and process and so forth, all available in the team space. Microsoft's project and team productivity solutions go through these different types of levels. Individual task management, ad hoc teams would be the work management, and then more formal in the project online environment would be project management, and then overall enterprise teams where large groups of employees are working together on many projects, so that would be the portfolio management. That would be where the roadmap now really comes into play, where you want to look at a particular set of projects on one roadmap so you can see the big visual picture. And then if we look at this laid out in a kind of a different way, we can see what tools are designed in the environment for these particular sections. So for task management, it will be working in Outlook and OneNote 2016, you know, where I'm looking at checking my emails in the morning, looking at my calendar, seeing what it is in particular I need to do. If I'm taking my own notes, you know, I'm somebody who likes to take good notes so that I can go back and reference them later if I've forgotten something, or if I need to reference something in a detail that I got from a client. I use OneNote all the time. OneNote integrates perfectly with both Project Online and Teams, so you can just connect right to the OneNote section that you need to from your project site or from your team. In work management, kind of bigger things would be working in OneDrive, sharing files, and SharePoint Online, and of course Planner, where, you know, my boss may assign me a task, or I may assign another user a task if I need help with something. Project team management, again, kind of the bigger section, would be working in Project Online for both project managers and local teams. More formal projects and programs delivery would be accomplished in Project Online, both in the Project Online desktop app if you prefer working in the desktop, or you can just work on Project Online in the PWA space. And then finally, portfolio management, where you need to a visual of everything you're working on in your organization. That's where Power BI comes into play, so that you can report on all of your projects and the metrics that you have stored in Project Online and SharePoint. There's enterprise capacity management in the Project Online space. And that all comes via licenses kind of outside, or in addition to, I should say, the Office 365 space. So the Project Online licenses would be premium, that would be just for admins, professional, which is what most project managers would need, and then essentials that team members would use. That would be for people maybe just updating their tasks or entering timesheets. Okay, all of the things that you see on the left-hand side, kind of the red, blue, and green boxes at the top, would be included in an Office 365 license at your organization. The Project Online and Power BI would require additional licenses for that enterprise management. There's lots of ways that Microsoft describes the Office 365. It's a cloud-based subscription service that brings together the best tools for the way people work today. They're really trying to push people more toward that collaborative work environment, allowing people to get more done, all while safeguarding the data, you know, under Office 365 permissions, in the same way that SharePoint on-prem would be a secure environment to store your data. So too is the cloud environment. It allows users to work better together. That is definitely my favorite thing about the Office 365 space. We all work remotely, and you know, when I first started to do that, I was really worried that I was going to feel, I mean, I love working from home, obviously, but I thought I was going to really feel lonely. I'm a very outgoing person. And in the workspace, it's really great. There's never a time that I don't feel connected to my coworkers. You know, we can video chat all the time. We can Teams chat together all day. So you never really feel alone, and you're always able to quickly get a response to the information that you need. It's really simplified, okay? I've heard lots of clients talk about being resistant to Teams like I was, because it's just such a different kind of space to them compared to what they were working in. You know, they were used to working separately in Outlook, and then maybe they'd have a chat client that they'd use that was separate, and then they'd have a website that they would use where they would share documents with other users. It is all integrated. It's all in one space. We very rarely email anymore at my organization. It's always via conversation or file sharing or Teams messaging in the Teams environment. So I encourage you to try to push yourself away from email as much as you can and just immerse yourself in Teams. It's going to allow you to build your business if you are either a small business or a huge organization. You know, it can be scaled to whatever you need for your organization. And it's backed by Microsoft, obviously. There's never been a time when Teams has been down for me. I've never not been able to access it. Something that you may see today, I saw it just this morning as I was reviewing my notes before recording the webinar. It is, you'll always get updates. So you'll actually see banners that come across, hey, this has changed. This is where you can find this now. So you're always getting the latest and greatest. So Office 365 groups are kind of the backbone of what allows Teams and the various Office 365 apps to work. Simply put, an Office 365 group is a list of Active Directory users who are given access to a set of tools like Planner, OneNote, SharePoint, among many others, as you can see below. Creating the group is the back-end action that happens automatically, which connects the users to different tools in which they'll be collaborating. So to give a for instance, I can create a team in my Teams environment. And when that happens, it will automatically be creating an Office 365 group in the background, okay? I'm not ever working in an Active Directory management tool. I'm not ever manually going through and configuring Active Directory to set up these Office 365 groups. It just happens automatically when you create the team, okay? So that's the exposure I have to it. You know, there are situations where an Office 365 admin would be needed. But I can tell you in our environment, the permissions are such that I can create a team myself. I do that for clients so that I can collaborate with users outside of PPM Works. They get added to my team as guests, and so they become members of the Office 365 group. And that just happens automatically and easily. So let's take a look at what exactly Microsoft Teams is. Okay, so we've got a screenshot here. I am going to go into it specifically, and you'll be able to see that, but I just want to get through kind of all of this, the business end here. So it's a digital hub that brings conversations, content, and apps together into one place. It is chat-based, okay? So you're going to see here on the left, the screenshot that we've got here is showing the chat. This happens to be the auto added T-bot that's available. I don't have T-bot enabled in my environment, but I do have recent chats showing. You can also just look at conversations and contacts. So if you don't want to always be looking at recent conversations, you can just have your list of users. You can always click on their name and you can send them a chat. That's kind of more similar to the way Skype for Business was configured. So whatever your preference is, you can use that mechanism. It's designed to generate ideas freely and allow them to grow organically. Now, I confess when I read this bullet, I thought, well, geez, that sounds kind of hippie. But I do really feel that this is the case. You know, we have very informal, professional, but very informal conversations on our team sites where we're collaborating with one another, looking for ideas. Just this morning, I had a colleague and friend who was posting information and questions regarding a permission issue that she was experiencing in a project online environment. And it went along the lines of, hey, have any of you guys ever seen anything like this? This is my scenario. What followed was a string of no less than 20 messages going back and forth between the team, trying to solve this puzzle and helping our colleague to get to the bottom of that. That is definitely my favorite thing about teams. That, again, it falls under that you're never alone. Now, if you want to be alone, you can put yourself in Do Not Disturb, but you're never alone when it comes to the need for assistance. And that's what the beauty of teams is. Each team can have up to 2,500 members and 100 owners. So that means that 100 people can be responsible for designing and reconfiguring that team, setting permissions on it, and so forth. Team owners, as I said, can add new members and other owners, rename, delete, or edit the settings of the team. When the team's created, as I mentioned, that will be when the Office 365 group will be created, which does include a shared Outlook inbox and calendar. So what does this mean exactly when I say a shared Outlook inbox? That means you can email the team also. So if I want to send a message to the team and I happen to be working in Outlook for some other reason, I can just put a mention in my Outlook email and it will automatically post to the team site, okay? It will include a document library, OneNote notebook, and planner. As you'll see, you can add other elements to the team site, which I'll show shortly. If you want to add a wiki where users can post, if you want to have a space where users can easily edit Word documents right in the team space, then you can add a Word tab. You can add a Power BI tab if you want to show a particular report. You decide what report exactly you want. So you specify if you want executives to be all on one team and want them to always be checking a report several times a day, you can put that right on a Teams tab for them. If you already have an Office 365 group, this is important to note, okay? So if the Office 365 group already exists, then it's best to activate Microsoft Teams on that existing group rather than creating a new one. So if you've already got an Office 365 group that has the right people in it that you want to use for Teams, you simply need to go to that Office 365 group and activate Microsoft Teams on it rather than going in the other direction and going into Microsoft Teams and creating it. So that's just an important thing. That might be something you need to engage your IT team for, but just an important note. It provides that threaded, persistent chat. There's either an open group chat, which is what I talked about that we did this morning, where we were collaborating with our colleague on the permission issue and all chiming in on what might be the solution to the problem. Or I could just chat with her directly via a private chat, a one-to-one conversation. On the fun side, there's emoji, there's stickers, there's GIFs. We send funny pictures to each other all the time. If we're stressed out about something, we'll find all kinds of different memes and GIFs that we can add in there. There is mobile voice with video calling. I use that all the time. I do not have a desk phone. I have my mobile phone, but I do not have a phone on my desk. I simply use Teams calling. Okay, that's the way that I contact people. And then finally, as I mentioned also, there is email integration. So if we look at those collaborative components I talked about, this is what the left-hand, I guess it would be called the quick launch in Teams, looks like. So activity, that is probably the handiest section. That will light up when a mention has happened, or if you've got new activity that you need to look at, that will light up. So you can just click on that activity and we'll open it up. Chat, the same thing. It will light up in red when someone has one-on-one sent you a message. Teams also will light up once there's activity on any of your teams or channels. Meetings, I can connect to any of my Teams meetings directly from Teams. It shows me my entire Outlook calendar within meetings, okay? So even if I've got reminders, guitar lessons this afternoon, okay, that's going to show up in meetings as well. So even if it's not a meeting that you're going to join, it's just a reminder that you have on your calendar in Outlook, those will show in meetings as well. And then finally, files. Now, you'll see the ellipses below allows you to add additional things here. These are the built-in ones. Files, I did not use files until recently when I accidentally clicked on it, actually. And I realized something awesome. It is my recent files across all of my applications. So that's super handy. You know, if I'm going into PowerPoint, I need to open a webinar like this one that I have been working on. Typically, the order I go in is I go into PowerPoint, I look at my recent files there. However, if I needed to open a PowerPoint file, a Word file, a Power BI template that I've been working on, if I click on files, all of my apps will show there. Now, granted, I'm not going to be able to show you that specifically because that would have all of my confidential files that would show there. However, rest assured, all recent files will show from that link. So let's go into the demo now, and we'll take a look at Project Online and Microsoft Planner. Okay, we're going to kind of jump around a little bit, but you'll see here, this is my Project Online demo environment. Okay, we've got all of the links here that are standard in the Project Online environment. Projects may be where you go most often. You may enter your timesheets in Project Online. You do that here. If you were a team member that just needed to update tasks, you could see all of your tasks here on the left. But some of the newer and greater Office 365 tools that show here on our Let's Get Started are the Collaborate with Teams and the Coordinate with Roadmap. Okay, so let's take a look here when we go into Project Center. Now this would be if I clicked, I have the tabs open here so that I can be like a cooking show and put the cookies in the oven and then magically 10 seconds later they come out fully baked. So this is what I do with getting my tabs ready for webinars. So if I were to click on projects, that would bring this project up here. We're going to be using a couple of different projects here, but Project Alpha is the one that I've got in my demo environment, okay? And so if I open Project Alpha here, that's going to open in the same tab here, okay? And then I'm going to be able to go to the schedule. And this is our basic schedule for our Project Alpha project. Now, as you can see, we have project phases, requirements, design, development, testing, documentation, and so forth, and our milestones. Okay, so at the end of each of these summary tasks, I've got a milestone that I'm tracking. Now, something that has become available now is this Add to Roadmap. So we mentioned Roadmap earlier. Roadmap is a quick graphical representation across the portfolio. Okay, you decide what projects show on your roadmap. You know, you can add a new roadmap that includes a particular set of projects. So if you have one team that is doing a set of projects, they can look at all of their projects on the same roadmap. As you can see for Project Alpha here, we've got milestones that are showing on here already. If we zoom out, we can see this a little bit better. Okay, so we've got requirements complete, design complete. I've added the milestones to this roadmap row, okay? How do you get them there? Well, you might ask. So say that I actually want to add a few additional tasks here that aren't complete, and I want on the roadmap to show the actual work that's going to be done rather than just the milestone, okay? I can do that here by using my control key, and I am selecting more than one row, okay? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to put in the development implementation task, the testing and verification task, and the documentation task. And then I'm going to click Add to Roadmap. This is a new button that if Roadmap has been enabled in your Office 365 environment, it will be on your toolbar automatically. I'm going to add it to the roadmap that I want to use. You can see that this is the one to which I have permission. That's why it's the only one that I see. okay? If you had permission to more than one of them, then they would all appear in this dropdown. And then you can pick what row it's going to be on. Again, this is the only one that I can add to because this is the project that I have developed. And so I'm going to add it to that row, the project alpha row in the roadmap. We're going to click add. It will give you a message here. Now this is a link to the roadmap, but I'm going to go back here instead. Now see now how we've got all of the milestones on here. I'm going to refresh this page now. It's going to prompt me again. That's because that won't happen to you. That's because I have to use many different sets of credentials depending on the environment to which I'm connecting. And then we're going to zoom out and we're going to go back here. And now you're going to see that these 3 tasks that I've added are coming into the roadmap. Now, as you can see, these are moments in time. These are milestones. These are tasks that span across a month. So that's why they look different. Okay, now if you wanted to remove this, okay, oh, I didn't mean to add that development and implementation one. They don't really need to see that, okay? I can change the status here. Also, if I'm having trouble with it, I can set it to at risk. I can set it to high risk, okay, or it's on track. Or I can say, no, you know what, I don't want that there at all. I'm going to open the details and I can remove the phase, okay? Then it's gone. Okay, the same thing here. We can change those statuses. I love colors, so I'm going to set a few of them here. Documentation, we always have trouble with that doc team, so I'm going to put that at high risk. Okay, perfect for executives who need a quick visualization of what's happening across the portfolio. Okay, so let's take a look now. If we look at the Teams environment here, okay, now see, I have a connection here to Project Alpha, okay, right in my Teams settings here, okay. So this is a channel here for this project under our PWA demo environment, okay. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things that are a little bit, I'll say, nuanced in this environment. Something that I couldn't quite figure out is this schedule. I get an error here on this schedule that it can't be shown in the frame. The reason for that is because of my permissions. You will not see this. This is because I'm working under 2 different users. I did a little bit of research on that when I was preparing. So if you see this, don't be alarmed. However, note that when I go into Project Alpha here and I go to the schedule. Now I'm in the Teams app here. This is not the Teams website, okay? And I go to schedule, I'm going to see the schedule just fine in the Teams app. Personally, I can tell you I always and only work in the Teams app. I do not work in the Teams web space. That is my personal preference. I just find I always have Teams open. It's the thing that I'm in most often all day long. So that's my preference. I feel the same way about Project Professional, that if I'm actually editing a project, that's where I'm doing it. I'm not doing it PWA. That's not to say I cannot, but still, my preference is to be in the app itself, okay? So on this particular project, you can see we've got the schedule. We have our tracker that we're going to get to. You'll see this is just going to kind of open the same place, and it's going to go to what our tracker tool is. We'll get to that. Oops, I just accidentally clicked on something I shouldn't have. I'll show you it here. I was clicking wildly, as my friend would say. So this will be where our tracker tool shows. Again, this is just a frame that's bringing you to what you would see in Project Online anyway. Okay, so you're going to be able to get to that here in project detail pages. Okay, so we're looking at the same thing here when I go to current and history here for our tracker. So again, it's a quick way to see what you want to see in Teams. You can edit here in Teams. It's more visual, I would say. That is my preference anyway, okay? You have all of these other tabs you can add. You can go through if you wanted to add Planner here. You can do that. I'll show you what Planner looks like. Because of the 2 different sets of permissions, I was not able to add a Planner tab to this one. Again, not a limitation that you would have, but let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so if I go into this other project, here are all of the planner tasks for the ecom rollout sync task, for plan rather. Okay, so you can see we've got buckets that in our case align with those phases in the project: requirements, design, development, testing, documentation. Okay, so all of those buckets can be set up. We configure those with an integration tool that we use, so it sends automatically to Planner. That's something you can feel free to ask us about. It's a handy little tool that we use. And you can see that you can also pull in Power BI reports into this environment. Okay, and if I go over here to project status, I can pull up the project. I can select the particular one that we're looking at. Oop, I clicked the wrong one, ecom rollout sync. Okay, and then here's the report that's providing the status on that particular project. Okay, all within the Teams environment. So Planner, you know, you're going to be able to complete those tasks here. You can see that if I open up this task, this is assigned to my colleague Kieran, but I could change the progress of this. You know, I could add a comment to him. If I thought of something, oh, Kieran, you know what else I realized on this task? I can add it here so that he sees that. He'll be notified depending on his settings, both via Planner and via email, so he'll get those alerts. Another thing that shows up is within chat now, a very new integration is that as soon as you get a new Planner task assigned, it appears in your chat window, which I think is awesome because that's where I am all day, every day. Okay, so if we go back to Planner, okay, if we go back to our slides rather, I want you to keep in mind that the idea of Planner is a simple, okay, that's key. It's a simple and highly visual way to organize teamwork. It makes it easy for your team to create new plans, organize and assign tasks, share files, chat. Like I said, you know, I can add comments to other people's tasks if I need them to know something or handle something differently. For instance, if I need it to be escalated, I can change the due date on their tasks, okay? It allows them to organize work visually. Each plan has its own board, and within each board, each work item or task is represented by a card, you know, so these show up as cards that are the tasks. So very visual, you know, in the same way that a smartphone might have tiles on it for you to easily see what the next app is that you're going to use. This has cards on it so that you can just see very quickly and visually what you're working on, okay? Team members will receive an email notification whenever they're assigned a new card or added to a conversation. I'll say it again to be clear. Planner is a simple to-do list that helps keep users organized, okay? I don't want you to think that you're going to be able to run a big dig project in Planner. I mean, if you can, God bless you, but it's really not complex enough to handle that kind of, you know, there's not going to be a scheduling engine in there. You're not going to be able to auto advance tasks they're not going to be able to depend on others. So it's really, it's not going to work in that way, okay? And the reason for that is because they address different needs, okay? Planner is very visual. It's for knowledge workers, for ad hoc teams, you know, typically less than 25 members. I mean, honestly, I'd say even less than that, you know, 5 to 10 would be optimal, I would think, for Planner. Okay, but say they just need to add a bit more structure to the way that they're doing things now. I can tell you, I managed a team of service delivery managers. At the time, I'd have loved to have Planner because that would have been the greatest way for me to just keep track of what they were working on a day-to-day basis without micromanaging them. Okay, just adding reminders of when they needed to submit certain tasks, to respond to clients, to get scopes of work done, etc. Okay, it lets you group things together. I love the buckets and the boards. I think that really helps me. Okay, what am I working on today? Okay, I'm doing all of my marketing assignments today. Let me work on the marketing board then. Project Online, on the other hand, is going to provide that full schedule with formal teams of any size. Okay, So you're going to be able to control and optimize across projects, across teams, across financial periods. So two different animals, okay? Now this next slide, if you're looking for a comparison of when I need Planner, when I need Project Online, this is probably going to be your most helpful slide. Feel free to take a screenshot of it. You're going to be able to see, okay, you can see that we've got 3 checkboxes on planners. I want to track tasks. I'll try that on the 3rd try. But you're unfamiliar with project management tools. Okay, no shame in that. Then Planner might be for you. I want to quickly enable my teams to use OneNote, Outlook, SharePoint. Planner also good for that. Or honestly, you have maybe employees or yourself resistant to learning a new tool. Well, then Planner may be just what you need because it's simple. It's immediately, you can learn it immediately. You know, I think that if you had a young child, they'd be able to very easily pick up exactly what they needed to do. If you prefer a more detailed work breakdown structure with task dependencies and so forth, then Project Online is going to be for you. You need timesheets or to track task progress. Although in Planner, you can mark something as not started, in progress, or complete, you can't have any more exact task tracking than that. So that would be where Project Online comes into play. If you need custom views, groups, filters, if you need to track risks and issues and various deliverables, all of these things would be in Project Online. Now, if you want to link them, there is a simple link to Planner that's built into Project Online. But if you want to manage the project schedule in Microsoft Project and be able to assign tasks to Planner, so that is to say automatically send tasks to Planner, then there is an add-on tool that we provide clients. So if you're interested in that, we can provide more information. We have another webinar that gives a little bit more information on that on our YouTube channel, but you can feel free to reach out to us and we can tell you a little bit more about that tool. So now we get to the fun, Microsoft Flow. So I've been using Microsoft Flow for about a year now, and I love it. It is so fun. I know that I'm a data nerd, but the number of things that I've been able to accomplish automatically that I used to have to do manually in SharePoint, for instance, is amazing to me. Microsoft Flow is a cloud-based software tool that allows employees to create and automate workflows across multiple applications and services without the need for developer help. That is key. Okay, now I'm gonna confess I have some development background, not much, a little bit of ASP.NET and SQL, but I've never done anything with tons of code in it. You know, we have developers on our team who are fantastic, and I will reach out to them a couple of times a week just to bounce ideas off them, and or go and have them check my syntax on things. Hey, is this JSON written correctly? Is this JavaScript formatted the right way? What am I missing? Why am I getting this error? I'm lucky to have that option here at PPM Works. However, even if I did not, I'd be able to do everything I need to do because of two things. Number one, because of the templates that are built in to Flow automatically, and also because of the incredible amount of user support you can find on Microsoft Docs. There are places where you can, if you have the problem, rest assured someone else has experienced that same problem and has provided a solution to it. Okay, you're able to create automated workflows. Okay, so you can see that here we've got a flow that looks for when a new item is created. This would be called a trigger. So when this happens, do this. This will be called the action. It wants you to start an approval. It will, you can put in who you'd like to assign it to. That could be a dynamic group as well if you captured that. If the condition, you know, so you can set, okay, only start this approval if this is met, then inform the creator of the approval, otherwise inform the creator of the rejection. Okay, so if this equals approve, then let the recipient know, okay, it's approved, Otherwise, let them know it's rejected. Okay, and you'll see that these approvals come through automatically. There are built-in flow templates. So let's just switch to flow for a minute. Okay, so this is what the flow environment looks like here. I can tell you, if you're in any of your Office 365 sites, flow is going to be on your waffle, which is not going to work for me now, but if you light up the waffle here, you'll see flow right from there. Okay, so you'll be able to get into it from here. You see I'm being password prompted again there because of the different accounts that I use. But this is where the home hub for flow is, okay? So you can see my flows here will be listed, okay? I've got lots of different ones that have been created, okay? If I go to home here, it's gonna prompt me again. It takes a minute for these tiles to light up, I noticed. There we go. But you can go and you can search for a particular template, okay? So say I know that I want to do some SharePoint work. I want to move files from one list to another, for instance, or one document library to another when a particular action happens. I can just search for SharePoint and what's available in SharePoint. And wait for it. The world is your oyster. Look at all the templates that are available that integrate with SharePoint. If I click on See More Templates, the page will get longer and longer. Okay, guys, this is super fun. You should check this out, and you should just try playing with things. Create a couple of test lists or document libraries in SharePoint and start learning your way around, around the space, okay? You'll see if I go into this, start an approval when a new item is added, it's going to automatically configure. It's going to ask me how I want to create, and then if I click continue, it's going to already have the template made. I did nothing to get this. It was already there. Okay, now I'm not going to lie, I'm hardcore now. I like to just write them from scratch, okay, because I'm, like I said, a data nerd and it's fun for me. But all of these are here. If nothing else, use these as ways to learn, you know, so create a couple of templates, save them, then you can always go back and reference those. Okay, how did that get structured now? What's the first trigger? What's the next action? What's the next action? How do I set that condition up? Really great stuff here, guys. Okay, I encourage you to use it. Now, within the Project Online space and in Teams, there are built-in places where data can be captured. Okay, so specifically I'm talking about the issues and risks list in Project Online. Really great built-in tool. If you're using project sites for your projects, then you already have the built-in issues and risks lists so that project managers, team members can log those issues and risks on projects. Because they're on the project site, they are reportable because they are associated with the project UID. So Power BI allows that automatic reporting. If we go back to our team site here and we look at Power BI, you can see, once this loads, that there are going to be portfolio risks here that are automatically captured across the portfolio. Okay, so the Power BI content pack is already going to have this built in if you're reporting from your project sites. Okay, not everybody wants to use project sites. Sometimes it's overkill for clients. They don't need an associated SharePoint site for every single project that they're creating. Maybe they've got too many projects. Maybe they'd rather be able to report on a high level for those items. Okay, so that's where the PPM Works Dynamic Tracker comes into play. Now, this particular tracker that I'm showing here is tracking financial data for the projects, okay? Capital and expense. And for each month, month 1 through month 12, we set it this way depending on what your fiscal year month 1 is, but this could be customized. You could name these whatever you want. It could just be January through December if you prefer. Okay, and what happens is when you add a row here, it will automatically associate this row. This is just a SharePoint list that's residing here on this project detail page. It will automatically associate that newly added financial row to Project Alpha. In this case, to Project Alpha. If I were in Project Beta, it would associate it to that project. Okay, so what does this mean? What's the benefit of this? It means that you can track whatever you need to track. Okay, so if you wanted to track particular metrics on a project, if you wanted to track what the source of a particular project was, if you're doing lots of marketing analysis and, okay, how did we get this lead? And you have a set of categories of leads that you needed to track for each project, you could do that here. If you needed to track KPIs, here as well, okay? Finance is probably the biggest use that we have for this tracker tool at this time, but we're always anxious to get new clients who need new things tracked so that we can help them do that and be able to report on them, okay? Another benefit of this is that this is at a higher level, okay? So I don't need to go into the project site to do this. I am on the PWA homepage, the home root site, I should say, just within the project, and I'm able to look at this here. But this list across all projects is reportable like any other SharePoint list is. It can be connected to via flow, okay? What this one does is it automatically, when I'm advancing to the next, I'm waiting for an approval now on this project, which is why submit is dim. But if I were to advance this to the next phase, it would automatically copy my current data here in this list to the historical data here in the history list, okay? That can allow you to baseline and see, okay, what did we think the original capital and expenses were for this project, and what are they now? Project on Power BI, rather, can then report on that variance with custom reports that we could design for you. Lots and lots of options here, okay? So if we talk about the benefits of the dynamic tracker, okay, it's a solution that provides flexible, configurable solution to track tabular data within Project Online, okay? It gives you the flexibility without continual customization. So, you know, you can configure the structure of the SharePoint list, but then say, hey, you need to measure some more things. Okay, great, add them to the drop-down list in the SharePoint field. Okay, then you have additional items that you can track without needing to create a new enterprise custom field, without needing to redo reports. That field is already in the report. Now it has another value in it that you can measure. Why do you need it? Personally, I think it's an enhanced user experience. You know, the risks and issues lists are great if you're measuring specifically risks and issues. If you need to measure anything else in those lists, you can't really modify them in a way that's going to be user-friendly, okay? It provides better reporting. You can capture the data that your organization specifically needs for reporting. You're not being forced into that predetermined, okay, you can report on issues, you can report on risks, that's all that we're going to give you. No, this allows you that flexibility to provide the tools needed for your organization. As I said, other things that you can track, you know, you can economics and finances is what I demonstrated, KPI tracker, you could track invoices, metrics, and also issues and risks if you didn't want to use the built-in issues and risks on the project sites. Okay, so if you wanted to track issues and risks at a top level Project Online root site, rather than needing to create project sites, then that would be the way to do it. It's completely customizable. You can track any type of project-related data. Seamless integration with Project Online. We would design those pages for you, and it can be designed in the way that you need. So that brings us to the end of our presentation today. We would love to hear from you. You know, any comments, any questions, anything you'd like to provide regarding this webinar, that would be great. I hope that so far I've provided a good high-level view of the integration of all of these Office 365 tools. We'd love to hear from you, like I said. So you can reach us at info@ppmworks.com. Also, at info@ppmworks, you can reach out to us To request a free Project Online trial, for instance, you can meet with a local Microsoft project specialist. That would be me. I'm in the New England area. We have PPM specialists all across the country, so depending on where you are, we can get somebody out there for a face-to-face. We could schedule workshops to teach you more about Power BI, the Project Online Quick Start implementation, and as well as Project Online training. Or we can set up an on-site or remote demo. Please connect with us. You can see we have a LinkedIn account. If you look for PPM-Works-Inc. on LinkedIn, you'll find us. Our site is ppmworks.com. You can find events on that site, our blog on that site, and also the email that we've mentioned several times, which is info@ppmworks. Thank you all for your time. I hope that this was helpful, and I really do look forward to hearing from you. Best of luck with your Office 365 and Project Online endeavors. I hope that you find all of the tools that are now available in our arsenal in the Project Online and Office 365 space as fun as I do. Take care, everybody.